Hello, third graders. Today we are going to do lesson 5-8, and we are going to work on finding missing factors. But first, I would like you to get out your whiteboard, marker, and eraser. And I have a division fact here. 15 divided by 5 equals question mark. What I would like you to do on your whiteboard is to write down the related multiplication facts that are in the same fact family as this division problem. And you can use those related multiplication facts to help you solve the division problem. So what I mean is I'll do this one for you. So for example, it's 15 divided by 5. So I can say to myself, 5 times what number equals 15? So how many 5s equal 15? I can count up by 5s. 5, 10, 15. So 5 times 3 equals 15. The other multiplication fact in that fact family is 3 times 5 equals 15. And I know that I have to have the same 3 digits in my fact family. So that means 15 divided by 5 must be 3. And then if I want, or if you want, you can write down the other related division problem, and that's 15 divided by 3 equals 5. So use this as an example and work on solving this division problem. First, write down the related multiplication fact to see if you can figure out what the missing factor is. All right, so a related multiplication problem would be 2, get the pen on, Mrs. Fleury, 2 times what number equals 18? Well, 2 times 9 equals 18, so that means 18 divided by 2 must equal 9. Go ahead and erase your whiteboard, and I want you to use that same strategy for 35 divided by 5. So 5 times what number equals 35? How many 5s are in 35? You can count up. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 7. 5 times 7 equals 35, so that means 35 divided by 5 must be 7. Try this one. 80 divided by 10. So you're going to think to yourself, 10 times what number equals 80? Or how many 10s are in 80? Count up. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. That's 8 10. So 10 times 8 equals 80. That means 80 divided by 10 equals 8. So there are 8 10s in 80. Erase your board. We're going to try it one more time. 45 divided by 9. Write that related multiplication fact. 9 times what number equals 45? 9 times 5 equals 45. So 45 divided by 9 is 5. And the last one, let's reveal, will be 70 divided by 7. So you're going to think to yourself, 7 times what number equals 70? 70 times 10 equals 70. So 70 divided by 7 is going to be 10. All right, you can go ahead and erase your board, and we're going to get ready for the math message. So here's a problem for you. There are 6 teams on the field for a tournament. There are 54 players in all. Each team has the same number of players. How many players are on each team? So let's go back and look at our problem. and think about what we know. What is the problem telling us? That there are 6 teams, and there are 54 players in all, and each team has exactly the same number of players. And your task is to find out how many players are on each team. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes, or take a couple minutes to see what you can come up with for an answer, and come back and we'll talk through it. So here are some things that I was thinking as I was thinking about this problem. Well, I know that 6 times 10 is 60. So I'm using that as my helper fact. So I estimated then that there has to be fewer than 10 players on each team. Okay? Because I know that 6 times 10 is 60. So 6 times a number is going to be 54, and that number has to be less than 10. Okay? So something else that I was thinking. I know that 6 teams with 10 players on each team is a total of 60 players. 60 players. And I subtract 1 group to have 6 groups of 9. So I'm going to subtract 1 group of 6, and I'm going to get 54. So that means that 6 times, I can think of 6 times what number is 54. Well, I had 10 groups here, but I took away a group. So I'm not using 10 groups, I'm using 9 groups. So 6 times 9 equals 54. All right. Before we go any further with our lesson, I want to talk about some vocabulary words that we're going to be using from here on out. And we have used these already, but I just wanted to come back and clarify them. One of the words that we're going to be using a lot is the word factor, or factors. I can always have an S at the end of that. Those are just the numbers that are being multiplied, like 3 times 5. So 3 and 5 are the factors. If my multiplication problem was 2 times 9, then 2 and 9 would be the factors. All right. Another word we're going to be using is the product. Instead of saying, what's the answer to this multiplication problem, I'm going to say, what's the product of this multiplication problem? The product is the total when 2 factors are multiplied together. So if my problem had the factors 3 times 5, then my product would be 15, which is the total. Sometimes in a problem like the one we just practiced has a missing factor. That means there's an unknown factor that I need to try to figure out. For example, in this problem, 3 times question mark is 15. That unknown factor can be replaced with a symbol. Sometimes it's a question mark. Sometimes in a word problem, it might be a letter, and that's something that will be coming up. So a missing factor is one of the factors, but I just don't know what that factor is. But it's my job to figure out what it is. So this is a fact triangle. You have some in the back of your math journal, the first math journal and the second math journal. I'm sending some home, copies of those home, that you can cut out, because fact triangles are a great way for you to practice your multiplication and division facts and become fluent with them. And what that means when I say become fluent with them, that means that you just know them, helps you practice and understand your facts. So here's how you use a multiplication fact triangle. There's a number underneath my black circle up there, my black oval. So the number at the top, you are going to cover it with your thumb. all right, because you can hold these fact triangles right in your hand. This is actually an 8. So I'm going to cover that with my thumb. And so what I'm going to do is then practice 2 times 4. Well, 2 times 4 is 8. Another way that I can use my fact triangles is I can cover up one of the factors. So now I have a missing factor. And I want to know what 2, so 2 times what number equals 8? Well, I can think about a related fact, okay? So I thought of how many groups of 2 there are in 4, and I know that there are 4 groups. And I knew it was 4 because 2 times 4 is 8. And I can also think of this, like I said, a related fact. I can also use these as division practice. So I can think of 8 divided by 2 equals what number? What factor? How many groups of 2 are there in 8? There's 4. So there's lots of different ways that we can practice our fluency of multiplication and division problems using fact triangles. So like I said, I've made copies and I've sent them home. You can cut out these fact triangles, put them in a Ziploc bag, and in a little bit I'm going to explain an activity that you can do using your fact triangles. But first, here's a fun thing that you guys can try at home. No, well, not the math journal. But here's a game. It's called Salute. You have number cards that were sent home. So you need number cards 1 through 6 and 4. Try to find all of them. Maybe there's 4 of each. This can be 3 players at least. And it's just a great way to practice your multiplication and division skills. We do this with multiplication and division, and you can also do this with practicing adding and subtracting. All right, so here's a way that you can use your fact triangles. Just practice. So you can take your fact triangles. It looks like this one. They have 6 times 8 is 48. And you can just write down your fact families. Okay? Another way to do it is think of extending the fact by multiplying your product by 10. So if it's 6 times 8, you can think of it as 60 times 8. And what would those fact families be? Well, 60 times 8, think of your basic fact, it's 6 times 8. That would be 480. And then 8 times 60 is 480. And then do your division problems. 480 divided by 8 is 60. And then I ran out of room, but you could write 480 divided by 60 equals 8. I have sent home a copy of that paper that you can do it on. You could do it on whiteboards. You don't have to do it on a piece of paper. You could do it on whiteboards. And you can also take your fact triangles, a regular fact triangle, and just write down all the fact families on your whiteboards too for practice. And you will have to work on this page that I skipped, page 178, for your math journal. Okay, I think that's it. So practice fact triangles, play the game Salute, work on this extending fact families activity if you want to. This is optional. But what I do encourage you to do, if you don't want to do this one, I do encourage you to just practice writing out all the fact families that you can come up with on your fact triangle. So if it's 12, 3, and 4, you're going to write 3 times 4 equals 12. 4 times 3 equals 12. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. 12 divided by 4 equals 3. Practice, practice, practice. Have a good day.